Okay. Um, so, all right, everybody. Hey, Daric. Hey, Toni. So it's a few people. Okay. I'll just go ahead and start since I'm recording. And I'll share with everybody later that came late or missed it. So I just want to thank everybody for taking the time out to be here today. Yesterday was very successful. And yeah, so day two is going to be a lot more fun because I know these two people. And like I've told you all in like the group chats, these are two people that are very well informed and have a ton of gems about journalism and the media industry as a whole. So if I could get you two to go ahead and introduce yourselves to everybody, um, that would be great.
Well, hi, everyone. So good to see you guys. Some faces I very much know. Um, my name is Toni Hall. I am a graduate from Prairie View A&M University. I graduated December 2019, and now I'm a full-time grad student at the University of Southern California. My major specialized journalism, concentration in sports journalism. One day I want to be like Oprah.
Okay, great.
Hi everybody, I am Daric Cottingham. I am an alumni from class of 2020, right? That's when I graduated? No, I graduated 19. I graduated 19, y'all. Sorry, it's been a long day. I just hopped off of an interview. I am a USC grad student as well. I am in my second year, same program as Toni, specialized journalism with an emphasis in sports and entertainment. So yeah, and I work a lot with audio and long form storytelling.
Okay, great. So the title of this was Forging Relationships While Being Authentically You. So that's kind of the path that we're going to go down with this discussion. So I just want to talk to you both. Your time here at PV, I know that y'all had to like start, this is something that we talked about yesterday. It's always where you start at, because you have to like slowly build your way up and you have to learn who you can go to for certain things. So what was the importance of networking at PV, across and both with students and our professors and just faculty members? What is the importance that that had on you both, as you like made your way through your collegiate careers and went on to graduate school?
I guess I'll start it because Daric played a huge part in my process. So I'll definitely start it. Oh, hey, girl. um, so networking is very much important. What I've learned since I've been in grad school is not so much the networking part, it's actually building relationships, like genuine relationships that will help you succeed during your time anywhere, whether it's in grad school, at a job, your neighbors, whatever it is. Actually building true, authentic relationships is what will get you to the next level. As far as going to PV, my professors, the comm department, they definitely helped me. They encouraged me when I really didn't see a way out. There was a professor at the school. Her name was Dr. Taylor. She's no longer there now. She's at Texas Southern, but she played a huge part in my life because she was the first professor that forced me to write like scholarly journals, and I had never done that before. And because she opened that world up of writing to me, I feel like when it came to the next level of becoming like a journalist kind of writing, like of course it was a big transition, but at the same time I kind of knew that you just have to talk about facts and a lot of data and stuff. Now Daric, he played a huge part in my process applying to USC, because if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have even applied, because he was the first one from our department to embark on such a monumental journey. And because he paved the way, I was able to come in afterwards. I mean, Daric even helped me get one of my interviews with Judge Lynn Toiler. She's the judge on divorce court. He helped me when he was in California. He helped me while I was still at PV get that interview, because he knew I wanted to go to USC, and I just loved to interview, and that would have been a great profile for my what's it called?
The portfolio.
Portfolio. There we go. Portfolio. Yeah. So yeah, the people you meet, man, are they're so important. They either come into your life for a lesson or a blessing. So treat every single person that comes into your life with respect, no matter who they are, and you know, get the most out of that relationship, whether it is just hey, how you doing today? Checking on you. Okay, cool. Like whatever it is, just make it genuine, because in this industry, it's not about what you know at all. It's about who you know and who knows you. So yeah.
Following up from Toni, I did help her with her getting into USC, like as far as like the logistics of everything. She got herself into USC, just to be clear. But the grad school process is very strenuous, and so each step from like personal statement, like looking at stuff like edits, like giving tips on like, oh, you should really be yourself and do this, and these are the type of work samples they're looking for, and you know, prepping for like the GRE and stuff like that, which is an important part of networking. I was one of the first people to actually decide like to come to USC and kind of start this like bridge program between USC and PV. And I did not have anybody to like lean on as far as like grad school. But I did have like some staff to lean on, such as President Simmons and Candice Johnson in the marketing department. Both of them played a huge, really big part into me going into getting like that second degree, because I really wasn't sure where to start at, because I was a first generation college student. So we all know how hard it is to deal with like FAFSA and then applying to college in general the first time. It's a whole different like game when it comes to master's programs. And so definitely utilizing like the staff and the faculty that are there and they're willing to help you. Like Ms. Johnson is an alumni of PV. She was in our shoes specifically. She is an alumni of the mass comm department. Asking those questions, just being inquisitive, which is really a key part. If you're wanting to have a career in journalism and media in general, you have to be inquisitive. So that networking key is really talking to people and asking questions. Like if you don't know something, it's always better to ask that question and not assume. And so that's like the biggest part when it comes to being a journalist, no matter where, if you want to work in sports, entertainment, hard news, politics, you're going to have to ask a question. And so that networking with the staff and faculty at PV, a big help for me also was Daric Blackwell. Dr. Blackwell was a really great help for me as well. And then also just networking with each other. That's the biggest part that a lot of people really skip over, is the networking with people that are already on your level, because you're all going to come up together. And you really notice that, like I really didn't notice it much until I moved out here to LA, and you notice that the industry operates that way. The industry really operates in like a class system of like, we all were PAs at one time for a news network, and now here we are all field reporters. So and it's like that journey, and you do that journey with each other. So I think it's really important for you all to kind of build that network with each other. Like someone may be good with video, while the other person is good with audio, while the other person may be good with being on camera. There's something that each of you have that you can bring to each other's like journey and experience. And so that's really the importance of speaking with each other.
That was great. So another thing I want to kind of ask, I guess, you two, did you have any like mentors as you were like going through this journey from undergrad to graduate school, or now that you are in graduate school, has a mentor played an important role in your journey so far? And if so, like how did you go about building that relationship between yourself and a mentor?
So Miss Johnson was my mentor. So was President Simmons. They had nothing to do with specifically what I wanted to do career-wise, but Miss Johnson was helpful in the sense of she was a mass comm student as well and an alumni of Prairie View. So she helped me kind of navigate the administration side, like roadblocks that came with like working with the newspaper. I was editor-in-chief my last year there and worked my way up from being a contributor writer to editor-in-chief. I don't know what the state of the newspaper is now since I graduated, but the newspaper played a huge role into me creating my portfolio. And Ms. Johnson was a part of the newspaper when she was there. And so she was our advisor at the time when I was there. And she really advocated for me to kind of push back against administration, like when it came to budgets or being allowed to go cover games or cover big important events that was happening in PV history, because that's your training ground. And having that type of mentor that's one, not just gonna like give you the tools, but like allow you to figure them out yourselves is really key. Mentorship is really interesting. A lot of people think you're going to find like this perfect mentor that has like all the answers, but mentorship is really a give and take type of relationship. Your mentor can't be the one that's always like, hey, come to my office and check on me and check in and see me. Like they're going to do that, but you have to be proactive as well and really want to be like, hey, I have a question. I wanted to run this by you. Like, the joke is Mr. Briscoe, Miss Johnson. Miss Johnson's my mom, Mr. Briscoe is my dad. And I'm always coming to them with a kid with problems. And you have to kind of be that way. And the faculty at PV, they're like an extended family. They're gonna answer your questions. You may think that you don't want to annoy them, or you maybe don't want to bother them. They have other things to do. They got to grade paperwork. They got to like do all this other stuff, and you don't want to add to their table or their plate. But you have to just jump out there and you have to find someone. And sometimes you just got to ask someone, can you be my mentor? And there's always that follow-up of like, well, why should I be your mentor? You got to really think about that. Like, what can you gain from them being your mentor? Like, you need to have that prepared. Like, I know that you can teach me how to be a little more punctual, or I know that you can teach me how to improve my research skills. That research skills thing is really big. Two biggest things with journalism is research and asking people questions. So that is kind of my spiel on mentors. Ms. Johnson and President Simmons was my mentor as well. She kind of helped me more on the professional sides of academics and like grad school if you want to continue your education. And she actually like wrote my recommendation letter for USC.
I actually have not had a mentor. I've been doing all of this from the drive and desire that's placed within my heart. Not to say a mentor isn't bad, I just haven't found that mentor. Like Daric said, when you find a mentor, you just don't just choose someone for their status. Like, really look at what they do and see what they can teach you, or even at times what you can teach them. But I just feel like during my time just navigating through the whole process, I really relied on my friends. I'll be straight up. I had a friend who was a grad student. He just recently graduated. He was a grad student at the University of Oklahoma. And then I have a friend, she just got into Columbia, so she would help me. And then I had a friend that graduated from UT. I would use my prestigious friends that graduated from prestigious schools, and I'd use their education that I didn't pay for. So I would send them my resume, my personal statement, anything you could imagine, like anything, because I just knew that their eyes was a fresh look to what I was doing. As far as my process. So Daric, man, let me tell y'all, if y'all haven't started writing, start writing now. Start writing now. Writing is fundamental. If you think you're just gonna go into journalism and be an on talent, like, you're wrong. You're very wrong. It doesn't start off like that. You start at the very, very bottom. And that sometimes is just the not even an editor. You just type a couple words and then you send it to the editor. Like, you have to start at the bottom of the totem pole. And coming in, going into USC, I felt like I was at a disadvantage because I was more on air. My whole portfolio was interviews I did while I was at Prairie View and a couple of stories I wrote, but not really. They were like scholarly journals or something I had wrote. But now that I'm on the other side, yeah, reading is key. You got to have great research. You have to be able to write, and not just write like freely. It's like a format you have to follow. So if I was you guys, really start writing, because that is what people are looking for. They need writers, and they need writers of color. Okay, they really do. So yeah, and then, like I said, the mentor thing, I've never had one. This is all based off the passion and desire within my heart. I am looking for a mentor. I'm partnering with the career service people at USC to try to find me a mentor. I'm a huge football head. I want to go into football, either college or NFL. It's really NFL would be a goal of mine or dream. So I'm trying to look for someone either at the SEC network, the NFL network, someone that I can mentor that's either in production, editing, or hosting, where I could just mentor and just shadow them and just learn.
And what Toni said is very true. A lot of times you think of a mentor as someone that has to be older than you, but mentors are people that have a little bit more knowledge on a subject than you, that can teach you that knowledge. So sometimes mentors are maybe your age, and they have a little more experience in what you're trying to do. And that's what Toni did. She knew people that were already finished with grad school or already got into grad school. And so it's like, okay, you've been through this already. You have knowledge on this. I really would like your help and some insight on this. Could you help me with this? She had questions prepared. I remember Toni had a list of questions when she called me. She was prepared. She had questions aligned up, and that's what you do when you're an active mentee. And that's why I say it's like a relationship. It's a 50-50 relationship.
Just to add on to that, I know I've reached out to both Daric and Toni to kind of get insight into their journeys to USC. I know I remember last year watching Toni work on her portfolio for so long. She would be in Hilliard all night long and just working to get everything together and perfect. And I've reached out to Daric to talk to him about the application process and everything like that, any question that I had at that time about USC. So like they said, it is important to not try to put an age limit on who can provide you with knowledge or with information to help you reach that next step. Because you're kind of doing yourself a disservice of feeling like, well, this person is my age or younger than me or whatever the case may be. Yeah, you're doing yourself a disservice by trying to brush that off as a good reason to ignore that person. And don't be ashamed to ask questions. Don't feel like they said, any question is a bad question. If you have a question about anything, be confident and ask it. Even if you have to ask, pull somebody aside and ask them. One of the things that I do want to ask though, because it was mentioned, I believe by Toni, was the importance of writers of color. And one of the things that I know the entire media industry with journalism and television, film, whatever the case may be, is, it's this push to get more people of color out there, because we kind of have to mold our own stories, and we have to go out there and interview people that look like us and that kids that look like us look up to, or whatever the case may be. So how is it going from Prairie View and HBCU to going to USC, that being that it is a predominantly white university, just stepping into that space? I know when I took the graduate day tour, it kind of was, it wasn't overwhelming per se, but I know I just kind of felt like out of place. So have any of you had that like experience or feeling, and how have you overcome it to like tell yourself like, you know, I belong here, you know, I'm not just here based off of the color of my skin, I'm here because I have an added value to this program in this university?
I'm gonna make it broad. So that feeling, the name for it is imposter syndrome. Everybody feels it. Like the top people in the top administration roles still feel it. It's that questioning: do you belong here? Is someone gonna find you out like that you don't belong here because you're not the ideal image of what the rest of your environment is looking like? And I definitely felt that when I got to USC. I was the only HBCU graduate in my cohort when I got here last summer. And out of that, I was the only one of like 6 or 7 Black people out of like 60 some people in my cohort. And we all weren't in the same classes. So it was very interesting and unique because also a lot of the professors were white, and a lot of them were old school journalists, like old white men. And so they had this notion of journalism, and the notion of journalism was very old school, very rustic, very fossil. And that old school rhetoric of journalism is actually not always so welcoming of people of color. So there were instances where, you know, lessons may have been where it was an example where the Black woman was the wrong example for how to go out and get nat sound, which is natural sound, while you're out in the field doing an interview, while the white woman is someone who's doing it proper. And they would miss those oversight things, and you could bring it up in class and it would be awkward moments sometimes where you're the only Black person in class. So it's like, no one understands what you're trying to get at. And so everybody else is like, I don't think it's a big issue. I don't think everything's really about race, or like those have been the conversations. And sadly, at these top journalism schools, the demographics of people of color are very low. And that's not because people don't get in. And I can say this because I also worked in the admissions office for USC Annenberg when I first got here. And we apply in numbers. We get in numbers. It all comes down to being able to afford to go cost-wise. So environment, space-wise, like you're going to be surrounded, like you're going from an HBCU where everybody looks like you, and you're finally a majority, like for the first time in your life while you're at your HBCU. And then it's like you're back in the real world. So it's very much so kind of similar. Like even if you don't decide to go to grad school and you're just going out into the real world, into the job field, you've kind of get this shock, this wake up call of, oh, wow, I really was lucky and had it easy for the past 4 years at Prairie View, because one of the key things that I had to worry about before I got to PV, I didn't have to worry about when I was at PV. Like how I looked based on my skin color did not matter. What mattered was the work that I did. What mattered was my character, like the things that should matter. That's the things that people should judge you off of, not, you know, how you look in because you're Black or because you're a person of color. And that changes when you enter the real world. That changes when you get to grad school. That changes when you're trying to apply for those jobs. And it's very much so a shock factor. Post-grad depression is very, very real. A lot of people don't think it's real until you're like a week out from rocking across that stage and you're now sitting in your room and you really don't know what that nagging feeling is, but you're like, the jobs are not calling. You're dealing with maybe bias, HR people, hiring managers, like all of that. And then the flip side of that, when you're working in newsrooms, majority newsrooms are majority white, like white men. And that's the same even here at Annenberg. I was managing editor last year, and I was the only Black managing editor for the entire newsroom of over 400 people. And a lot of times there were stories that were not covered properly, like not going to the correct sourcing for stories or framing stories when it came to instances in minority communities. And you'll be the only one speaking up about it because you're the only one there of a minority background to say something, and you're still being outweighed by the majority. So your point's not getting across the same way it's not getting across in class, while it's not getting across while you're also at work. So there's that frustration of that, but you have to keep going. You also have to remain authentic and true to yourself. I say this all the time, you have to go to bed with yourself. So if there's something that happens, because there's going to be that shock factor where something crazy happens and you're like reminded that the rest of the world is not like Prairie View. And you have to decide, do I say something now, dead it in the butt so that it does not happen again, which is always that fear, because when it comes to jobs, these places can let you go, which is a huge fear for a lot of people of color. But you have to decide for yourself, because they may let you go and you may end up landing on your feet somewhere else better. It may not happen immediately, but something is always next. And I think that mentality is really important to have when you're coming from an HBCU and then going back out into a world that is not, well, majority looking like you, and more worried about those things such as skin color and race, and focusing on those things that become barriers when it comes to jobs and even school.
That was fantastic.
Okay, I don't know if you guys, because y'all started online this year.
Oh my gosh.
That's
Yeah.
my question, because I was like, I don't know, because she didn't get to experience the campus yet.
Yeah, I'm glad he went first, because like I said, I have not experienced the campus yet. I was on there for the grad visit day back in October of last year, which is now about to be a year since I've been in LA. So USC, going from Prairie View to USC, it's been pretty crazy. I just put 2 articles in the chat. The first one is my spotlight I just received yesterday from USC for receiving a full ride to USC. And then the second one is an article I wrote for Voyage Atlanta. And that talks about my post-grad depression and how I was freaking out because I had nothing prepared. I interviewed X, Y, and Z, but here I am at the end of the day with no job. I hadn't even started the application process. I was in such a dark space after I had graduated. It was really scary. I was more scared because I had never been in that situation. So to go back to the first part of the question, the transition has been different. Definitely with social justice stuff going on, USC is really trying to learn. I can tell they're trying to learn and they want to reach out. So a lot of times in my classes, we talk about social injustice, and Daric and I actually have 2 classes together. So we just sit there and listen to them talk about just some crazy stuff at time that we as Black people kind of already know, but we're there to help inform and educate and stuff. So yeah, post-grad depression is very much real. You're not gonna have everything figured out. There's going to be so many uncertainties and unprecedented situations you're going to come against between now and your next level. Okay, I'll be so honest. You're going to go through some adversity, but at the end of the day, if you have a desire within your heart to be in this industry, you will be in this industry. Because that's one thing a lot of people lack in this industry is passion. A lot of people just chase the money. They just want to do it for the accolades and the recognitions. But if you don't have passion, you're not going to really make it like the way you want to make it. Like, You got to be very passionate and know that you are here for a reason, regardless if you're at USC, Syracuse, U of H, Texas, it doesn't matter where you're at. Like, you are there for a reason, and you are going to make it through every situation you go through. And that's what I had to learn, is that you always have to keep the main thing the main thing. So like, while I was applying for USC, I had so many negative doubts and things coming in my mind, like, you're not going to get it, you're not going to make it, you grew up dyslexic, no one's going to be able to read any of your stuff, your interviews are too long, all this crazy stuff. But I just said, faith. You got to have faith in everything you do. Everything you do. You got to. You have to believe in yourself. I don't know what anyone's religion is, but I know I'm a Christian, and I always say, trust God. If I just trust God and lean on him, I know he's going to come through, because he's brought me through so many situations already. I know he didn't bring me this far to only bring me this far. And you have to tell yourself that, especially when you're in a room where you are the only Black male or Black woman, like, you're going to have to be your own coach. Like, for real, you're going to have to pipe your own self up and let you know, like, I can do this, because they're going to try to shoot down your idea. They always going to try to shoot down your idea, because they feel like your idea doesn't talk to the mass, when they're really just clueless. But you're going to have to pipe yourself up, and you're going to have to work 10 times harder. So that means you're going to have to go into the meetings with your stuff already planned. You better have your research done. You better have just like a story. It could be a rough draft, but if you have like a pitch or something written up, whatever it is, you're just gonna have to work a little bit harder because of your skin tone. I mean, no one in this chat said, God, I want to be Black, or so-and-so, I want to be Black. No one said that. You were just born this way. So you got to really understand that you're beautiful, and that you're made exactly the way you are. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not a mistake, and you're going to persevere through every situation thrown at you, because you were literally built to overcome everything. Period.
And to add to what Toni said, I'm also dyslexic, so do not freak out.
Do not.
People did not know that I was dyslexic while I was at Prairie View, because I kept that to myself. And people thought I was just this great writer. I hated writing all the way up to sophomore year of high school. So just know that whatever roadblock in that transition coming from the HBCU to a PWI, it seems like this most scariest thing is. But I also don't want to leave that on a note where you guys are all fearful. Just know that nothing is too hard to conquer.
I can't even believe I'm at USC. I tell myself that every morning I wake up, like, and then on top of that, I know a big hindrance for me was finances. I did not know how I was going to pay for school, because I'm already in debt from Prairie View, and I did not want to be in debt another $89,000 just to go to a 1-year program. Like, I didn't want to do that. So you're going to have to believe in yourself and manifest things, because from the day I applied, January 20th of 2020 was when I submitted my application. And since that day, I told myself I was not paying for school. I was not paying for school. I had to believe it no matter what the odds were against me. I said, I'm not paying for school. This thing, your mouth is very powerful. And that's why people want you to shut up, because your mouth is very powerful. So you got to realize you're going to have to manifest some things as well. When I saw Daric say he can make it out the hood, I said, I'm going to make it out too. I'm going to make it out too. And I ain't going to pay for school either. We going to go full throttle, and we going to make sure like we're top notch. So believe in yourself. You got to believe in yourself and do the work. Just do the work. I know fear is a part of life, but you don't have the spirit of fear. You will get through it. Trust.
So I know one of the things we kind of touched on a few times is like how Toni just mentioned fear, and we've been talking about confidence and just not being afraid of opening your mouth and speaking up about things. And I was watching, I don't think it was a TED Talk, I was watching some type of event where basically the speaker was talking about how for Black people, when we get into these white spaces, it takes a toll on us mentally because we have to constantly switch between our work professional self and then our personal self, like who we are with our friends and around people who look like us and things like that. So I know we're talking about, remaining authentically yourself. So how do you two manage, um, being professional, having to be professional and being at USC versus, how you would probably normally be, or how you were at Prairie View? Is there a big difference between the two, or did you just kind of take the step of, I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing this whole time? And yeah.
At Prairie View, I was pretty much actively who I am is who I am. There were some times where I wasn't fully like all the time myself. Like I knew like code switch for professional, this and that. Now I don't code switch at all. I don't code switch for anybody. And that's the logic of, I don't know if you all have noticed or been following like the reckonings happening in so many newsrooms this summer with racial injustice and stuff being brought to the forefront. There are people that are 3 times my age dealing with issues in their newsrooms. We're dealing with it when they were my age. So do I want to be miserable in a career that I have a passion for because I have to constantly code switch to get into a space and an environment that does not want me there? Like if you authentically cannot be yourself within your workspace and you always have to put on a front, you kind of hurting yourself. And that's a little scary to think, and it's a really scary realization to kind of get to, because that sometimes means you're going to have to be a freelancer. Because a lot of publications really have a lot of set rules. Like people can't put BLM or tweet about BLM if you're Black as a reporter. There's a reporter named Alexis that was at the Pittsburgh Times recently. She just stepped down from her role there because there was a viral tweet that she put out. It was a joking tweet. And sidebar on that, on your social media, always make sure in your bio it says that views are your own, so that people are not taking every single thing that you tweet or say as like an endorsement or as a part of you as being a journalist or a reporter. Because just say you on Twitter and you retweet something or like something that you thought was funny, they gonna think you over here reporting it. So you need to include that in your bio. But basically, she has it in her bio. She has all the safety nets of things, but the publication did not like a joke that she made about, it was like a country concert or something. And it was like a photo that was going around of like a lot of mass destruction that happened from like a protest. And she joked about it being like a Keith Urban type of concert. And they made her step down from reporting on anything protest or police brutality or BLM related. And she's been in a battle with the publication alongside the employee union for them this entire summer. And then just like a week ago, decided that, I'm stepping down. And it was hard because it's like, what do you go to after that? But for her, it was very much so, you can't make me, one, minimize my Blackness. You also cannot make me minimize morals for a job. Because the other side of this, recent issues, I don't report on anything as far as domestic abuse. For example, the Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez situation. There was a big discussion between a lot of journalists whether publications should be covering his album release, where he addressed the situation and kind of called her a liar, because does it add and perpetuate to harmfulness within communities? And there's always a discussion within journalism as far as like ethics, and do we kind of add to that, especially when it comes to like endangering someone or even talking about and reporting on suicide. Like how in depth do you go, because are you now giving people ideas? And there's always that like portion of like ethics versus morals, and then like the whole idea of objectivity. And I'll be honest, I don't believe in objectivity. I believe in ethics, and objectivity to me is something that old white men created to justify them being racist in their reporting. So I'll leave it that side of the things. However, I don't believe in code switching. And that all comes from me dealing with being a managing editor in a majority white newsroom. I had people under me like questioning when I would tell them something like, I'm their boss, and they're telling me that they're not going to do that because they don't think that our audience cares about that story. And the story will be a Black story. And so, like, we're in the heart of LA. John Witherspoon passed away when I'm like managing editor last year. We did not cover his like death. We didn't cover the funeral. We didn't do a eulogy. We didn't do anything. When it came to Black History Month, we did not do any notable coverage of like Black history. When it came to Hispanic Heritage Month, we did no coverage of like Hispanic Heritage Month. And that was crazy because we actually had a whole desk like called Demilo that is specific to covering Hispanic and Latino coverage. So there's that aspect of where there is code switching, but I am someone that's very an untraditional journalist, and I believe you have to remain authentically yourself so that the publications know what they're getting. And I learned that from a journalist named Tre'vell Anderson. He is a non-binary, I said he, so sorry about that, not he. They are a non-binary writer. Their background comes from social work, and they graduated from Morehouse, and I want to say grad school was Harvard, and they worked at the LA Times. And they had an issue where they had to kind of code switch a lot because the LA Times is majority white. There's like maybe 4 Black people that are on the entertainment desk, and that's what he was kind of under. So he became like the Black entertainment reporter for them for a long time. And he dealt with people telling them, you know, they don't care about these stories. Like, our readers don't care about those stories. The LA Times turned down covering Empire, y'all, because they thought no one was going to care, or they didn't think the show was going to be big. So the LA Times hopped on this big wave later because they were questioning, you know, the person of color in the room. They didn't trust what they were saying, or that they were qualified enough to cover those things. And so that's an ideology that I have now because of learning how being in the thick of like LA and the media industry. You really have to just be genuinely yourself. And professionalism, I sound like a hotel. Professionalism to me is very much so the lens that we practice it in America is very through a white male lens. And I think you have to, there's professionalism, because people think I still am very professional. I just don't practice traditional professionalism. There's being respectful to people when you're in workplaces. Like, there's certain things you do and don't do. And that's still kind of considered code switching, because there's certain things that I will and won't do while I'm at home, while at work. But I don't think you have to put on your voice. Hi, hello. You don't have to do that. You can talk the way that you talk. You can not have to switch between African-American vernacular English into like talking proper all the time. Also, another thing for me, I curse a lot, and I don't tone that down for anyone. Like, I tried that a long time ago to like stop doing it, and it just doesn't happen. And so editors know what they're getting when they reach out to me for coverage. And I've had some great opportunities. I worked at Spotify this summer. I worked with their podcasting side, and I got to put out some really great content for Spotify. And then I've interviewed upcoming music artists that are under Red Bull Music record label. And I've gotten to I could just put out my first beauty writer piece over skincare with a POC women-owned brand. And so I've had really great opportunities while still remaining true to myself. And there's a journalist that I'm putting in the chat that I think each of you should all look up. And she's a Texas girl. Her name is Taylor Crumpton. She's a friend. I call her my mentor. And she is 100% herself. Her brand is the hot girl journalist. She's always in her braids. She's either always wearing her natural hair. She's always rocking the gold nameplate chain. And she is a music journalist. And she comes from a background where she was a social worker. And she approaches things in a way that is unique. And so that's why I think that code switching part, you have to remain yourself because you bring something unique to the table when you're yourself. You'll approach a story differently than the person that's next to you. Like for me, I got ADHD and I'm dyslexic. So the way I write is very jumbled. To other people, they be thinking it's really structured, this and that. And I'm like, I literally write every single thing down at once. And then I go back and rearrange it. But I have to get those thoughts out. And so you bring something unique to the table. And I think really ideally that code switching or that idea of code switching, which is the one thing I will say I wish would change at HBCUs, that whole you got to be better mindset and you got to do the suit, you got to do this, you got to do that. That is not the media industry at all. Unless you want to go into broadcast. That's the only time I would tell you that you really got to like stick to code switching, which is why I don't do broadcast. Because everybody, no matter what, they're like, no big hair. They want you to either speak the type of dialect, whatever region or market that you're in for that broadcasting station. So like say if you're doing broadcast news, you land your first job in an Oklahoma station, you're gonna have to kind of know what the colloquialism is and how they speak out there or how they pronounce certain words. Like in Texas, people say Lancaster, Lancaster, like it's the diction that you use when you say those words. So there's still that code switching. But when it comes to audio work, long form work, writing, and doing like digital work or working for magazines, you have a little more freedom. And the way journalism is going, a lot of readers appreciate when a journalist is authentically themselves because it's shifting from a traditional norm of where people are following publications more versus following the writer, where it's like people are now following whatever the writer writes. So people are worried about like, oh, they got a byline in the Washington Post, I'm reading that article. Oh, they got a byline in the New York Times, I'm reading that article, because they trust that they trust that journalist. And so I say that now that the idea of code switching and having to kind of mold into your environment is very different. You still have to be resourceful. You still have to be able to finesse. You have to be prepared, but there's not this thing where you have to push yourself aside anymore. And that's been understood a lot more. And I think with the reckoning happening this summer too, counterparts are finally understanding that it's not okay to tell someone of a minority background to kind of turn off parts of themselves to cover something, or tell them they can't cover something because they're a part of the community that the story's about, because it could show bias, even though they could bring some nuance to that story. So that authenticity is real, because I'll be honest, the best writing is nuanced. That was long, but it was some gems.
Yeah, no, that was great. I mean, I echo everything Daric just said. Literally, I'm on the broadcast side, so I do have to code switch at times, but I'm learning to just be me. Now, I'm a very silly person, I'm a very goofy person, but I know when to turn that off. That's the code switching that I'm going through, because I know at Prairie View I could just be like, hey y'all, like I'm here with another interview, and now I kind of got to be like, hey guys, my name is Toni Hall and I'm here with another interview. Like that's my code switching I have to worry about, is kind of like my energy. And Daric is so right. When you wanted to go into broadcast, you're gonna have to learn how to enunciate your words. And I have a professor, she tells me all the time, she says, Toni, stop saying y'all so much. And I'm like,
Is it Stacey?
no, Shirley Smith from ESPN. Oh. She always tells me, stop saying y'all. And I'm like, I can't help it. Like, that's my native. And I've had another professor tell me, no, keep doing that, because that's what makes you different. You're not from the West Coast. So don't have anyone try to shape you and make you fit into this West Coast culture when you're from the South. Like, it's okay. But yeah, I mean, just be respectful. Just be who you are, but just be respectful. Show compassion to others, and like, I mean, Daric said everything really. I mean, you're gonna have white people that just really don't want to see you succeed, or they really don't want to see your story put out. And Daric was telling the story about the LA Times and the whole, what was the name of the show? You just said it.
It was Empire.
Empire, yes. The reporter came and talked to our class, and that was the first time of me ever hearing about that incident. And you know what? You just got to continue to do you, like, because if you're not you, who else are you about to try to pretend to be? Like, who are you about to try to be when you're aiming for a specific type of success that only you know your personality can drive you to? Like, don't copy anyone else, because I know, I mean, I haven't really been to LA, but I can tell in my classes there's a lot of people who copycat. Like, they just see these reporters on TV and they'll be like, I can do exactly that. But sometimes it doesn't come out exactly how the reporters did it, because the reporter was them and that person was trying to be someone they're not. So whether it's radio, audio, broadcast, writing, digital, just be you, because you bring something to the table that these places are missing. Never forget that.
And y'all are in undergrad, y'all can really think about how you want to brand and present yourself going forward. Like, that's the cool thing about being at Prairie View. I didn't really decide really what that looked like until senior year, really. I had lunch decided and knew that I really wanted to do more pop culture centered things and more culture based things, but I didn't know how to package that until like late senior year. And my brand is the Black gay country boy that's in LA. And so I am going to say y'all all the time, I am from Reston, Louisiana and grew up in Texas. You're gonna get what you're gonna get. But I know what I know. I can get the job done. It just may be in my way. And that's what matters, is getting the job done. So know who you are and what you bring to the table and like what unique approach you bring. Like if you're super knowledgeable on history, so you're able to connect historical facts with like current trends and like what's going on. And so that's your niche, that's like your thing, that's what you bring to the table. So why would you code switch and take away what you bring to the table?
That was perfect. I love like both responses. And like I said, this was kind of why I wanted to bring Daric and Toni here, because, you know, this is a lot of information, but it's so important to hear these things, especially from people who are our peers or just people who are doing things that we aspire to do, you know, in fields. You know, a lot of you may not want to go into journalism or news writing, whatever the case may be, but the media industry is one of the same.
What they want to go into?
Hmm?
Can everyone say like what they're interested in?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Because it'd be crazy if we talking about journalism and all them want to be producers and want to be a publicist.
I know we have two. I know Cecily and T. Hayes are going into like directing.
Film, that's me.
Yeah, film.
Film is so many documentary people that's in our program right now. We spoke about the cinematic school. I remember that. Yeah, so it's a lot of people that go into journalism. There's the documentary, I don't know if you guys all remember, but the HBC documentary, Tell Them We're Rising. Stanley Nelson, I just did an interview with him a couple weeks ago for a podcast, and he has a journalism background, but he's a documentarian. Like, you need to have those journalism skills, like you need those base skills, and then you get to decide, okay, I like film. I like long form film. I want to go into filmmaking. I want to go into documentary. Like, everything is a basis of storytelling. And going back to what Toni said earlier, everything includes writing. Even if you want to be a publicist, you need to know how to write. Because when it comes to being a publicist, because it's weird how it's connected. People try to separate the two. But I took a PR and entertainment class last semester, and it's very connected. There's very much so this give and take between publicists and journalists. And so you need to know your writing, and it's all connected. But I definitely want to hear what each person's interested in, so that like our answers can be a little more tailored. Because I hate those real broad type of events where it's like, okay, duh, we know, reach out to an editor. Duh, we know we gotta have samples. Duh, like these things should be helpful. So I think it's always important to make sure everything's tailored.
We actually have, like, some people put their interest inside the chat as well.
So music, as in music, like management.
I believe that was
for Sonia. And then Morgan wants to do sports broadcasting, television and radio, filming, directing, and producing. Okay. And podcasting is my realm.
I'm trying to get over there.
For each of those things, I will say you need to be yourself. When it comes to sports broadcasting, this is also, Toni said like she want to go into broadcasting, but her niche is sports. Sports is a little more freer than the 5 o'clock news. You can add that personality. Like the best sports reporters are the people that have personality. So be yourself. You want to bring that edge, like something that no one else can bring. When it comes to filming and directing and producing, I will say now, the basis of everything, you really need to hone your writing skills. Script writing is like a totally different level than like regular writing, like writing for a paper for class. And you'll kind of get a basis of it. I don't know if they still teach the broadcasting class with Dr. Blackwell. Like you have to write like scripts, like you have to create packages and stuff. And those things are very like common. Like you in class, like in grad school for journalism school, you are having to write like multiple broadcast scripts for a class, like almost every single time in that class. So honing that writing when it comes to producing and filming. Directing, you really want to have an eye for things. That inquisitiveness is really important that happens in journalism, because you're going to have to be wondering things when you're directing, because, okay, is this angle going to be good? Is this lighting good? What can I learn about that? And so you're going to have to be really inquisitive. Toni said it, that is one of the most important classes you'll take. And I think the other one was television and radio, like as in like production or being the person on camera.
Yeah,
I want to be I'm sorry, I didn't know who that was that was talking.
It was for you. I was looking to see who.
Okay, hey y'all. First of all, I just want to say like y'all are truly dropping some real good gems, and I'm like so happy that Dee put this together, because I feel like this is very inspiring, because you guys were once and where we at right now, and I know I personally remember y'all being here, so I don't know, that's just really a really great feeling to hear y'all talking back to us and just really sharing what y'all have to offer, because this is an industry where people sometimes keep their gems to themselves and they don't really share it to people. So thank y'all for that. But so I want to do TV and radio. I want to be in front of the camera, on the radio. I'm somebody who's very, very comfortable in front of the camera, but I'm also just trying to learn the behind the scenes too. But yes, I want to be in front of the camera.
So the fun fact about everything, kind of going back to what Toni said, like everybody has to know how to write. I really think the new stage of journalism or anything media-wise, yes, Cecily, that was my pally. You have to really know how to do everything. Like we say that, but it's true. You at least need to know the basics. You really need to know how to film. If you want to be in front of camera, because sometimes you may not have a camera person. So you might be like a whole one-person show. So you may have to learn how to operate the camera. They make little remotes to hit the camera to record. Learning those type of things, learning, the right frame rate, learning like your frame spacing, like the 3/3 rule, the 3/4 rules of framing. Like, do you want to be either over here to where you have something to show? Like, because if you're broadcasting as news, the graphics going to usually be right here. the CGI is going to usually be right here. So you can't just be like in the way. You got to know like, okay, on camera, am I going to be super tense? Am I going to be this? So you want to practice those things of being in front of camera and behind camera. When it comes to audio, you really want to learn the staple editing software is Adobe Audition. Learn Adobe, y'all. YouTube has so many videos about Adobe. Those are like the core skills that people need no matter what aspect of media you go into. And if you learn like one software of Adobe, you pretty much can learn the other ones because the interfaces are very similar. And then for TV and radio, when it comes to radio, really practice your recording voice. I know a lot of people don't like hearing their own voice. So it can be weird sometimes when you're hearing yourself while you're recording. And so you really want to practice, you know, getting used to that. Because like, how does your voice like change when you're talking about something? Does it go low? Does it go high? Like really learning your levels so that you have the proper like radio voice so that people understand what you're saying. And then just learning technical stuff. As y'all can see, literally everything I do is self-taught. YouTube University is your friend. And so you really want to get into learning those things. Is there a specific like issue? I know each of you all said what you want to do. Is there like a specific question regarding what you're interested in or like you're not sure what to get started with?
Yeah, because I can, go ahead, Seth. I saw.
Oh, I mean, I was just trying to figure out, like, I guess, what you're actually asking. Do you mean, like, do we have a question about what we're trying to pursue? Or do we have a question about what we want to do post-grad?
Siri, be quiet. I'm asking basically, so say you want to do filming and production. Maybe your question is, where do I get started? Like, what is the starting or stepping stone for that? Because it's different paths for everybody. Some people just start like a GoFundMe and get enough money raised up to start a film and then enter a film festival, while others start out as being production assistants. Like the short film Hair Love was created by Matthew Cherry. Matthew Cherry was a former NFL player and he broke into like during production and was like a PA on Girlfriends. Like a lot of people didn't know that. Lena Waithe was a PA on Girlfriends. Like all these people started out as like production assistants and went on to be directors and scriptwriters and producers. And so that's kind of what I'm asking. Like, is there a part that you may not fully understand as far as like, you know, that's what you want to do, but you don't maybe understand or want to question about like a specific like thing?
Okay, well, I would say with you explaining it that way, I don't have a question with that, just kind of because, well, me and Tay work together. We have this, we're under the same production company. So we've already put out a web series. We just finished a short film, and we just finished doing a Halloween series that we're gonna drop on Halloween. I guess like for me, I just had an interview with Toni like a couple of weeks ago, and she was telling me to go to like, you know, just go to USC. And I've been teetering between like, do I want to like apply or do I don't know what's really holding me back from doing it. Like I would really love to go to USC, but I have not figured out what's really holding me back from applying. I guess that's why I'm on the call because I'm trying to listen to how's y'all experiences, and I don't know, I'm just trying to figure it out. That's just all I was opening my mic up for.
So
sounds like you're afraid of rejection.
So look,
no,
and that's normal, y'all. I was trying to go to Texas State for grad school, and President Simmons and Miss Johnson were like, "No, we won't write you recommendation letters if you don't apply to one of the top journalism schools." And so they made me apply to the top ones because I was scared. I'm like, they're not gonna want little old me. Like what? Nobody wants little old me. I'm gonna go to a regular Texas school. I'm gonna be a little Longhorn. I had a whole plan. I was gonna live in Houston. I was gonna take the online course. Had apartments picked out, everything. And then like I last minute applied to USC and Georgetown and got in. And the only thing that was holding me back was literally that fear. If you want something and you have a dream, you have to take that step yourself first. You can't expect the rest of the world to give you those opportunities if you're not gonna take a chance on yourself. So as far as like applying and looking into grad schools, or if you're thinking about a job that you're really interested in, or just something media related and you're not really sure if you should pursue it, this is me saying pursue it. And then the other aspect of that, I'm honest with USC. I think every Black student that goes to USC, I will tell y'all to actually go look at Black at USC on Instagram of people's true experiences. Yeah, it started this summer when all the stuff happened. People started, yeah, which is what Toni is saying. Like a lot of them, Annenberg is one of the biggest ones. A lot of people, like these schools mimic what the actual industry is. Film industry is cutthroat. There's always inappropriate stuff happening. Media industry is cutthroat. There's always inappropriate stuff happening. And a lot of those journalism schools, no matter where it is, mimic those toxic behaviors because it's taught that it's normal. Like a lot of my issues in the newsroom last year were with students mimicking what instructors were doing because that's just how TV is. That's just how radio is. And we are the future of media, and they talk about this in our classes all the time, where we're the future of media and we're the ones that are able to change it. And so basically I say that like you're going to be fearful because those are those normal standards that have always been in those industries that are practiced at those academic levels as well, in an attempt to toughen you up and thicken your skin, which every graduate from Annenberg literally says no newsroom was tougher than Annenberg media. So you may think like they think here that it mimics that world. However, it's not. Even working at Spotify this summer, like, y'all, that was the most lax job I've ever had in my life. And you wouldn't think that looking on the outside in. And so that's why I say if you have that doubt or that fear, you kind of just have to take that jump, because what you're doubting and fearing might not even be real. And I'm gonna be honest, USC on your resume, on your application, anything USC attached to your name will open doors. I have my qualms with the place because, you know, I'm Black, but that does not change that there are certain opportunities that I got from USC that I would not have gotten if I decided to play it safe and go to a school in Texas online and like work at some communications firm in Houston. Like, that's not what my dream was.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Daric has been speaking gems, bruh. I mean, gems to these students, even myself. I wanted to touch on the broadcast aspect for those who want to be on TV. And I mean, I do editing too. The sad part is I haven't learned how to use Premiere yet. I've been so programmed Final Cut that now I'm trying to weave my way through. So you're not alone. For my broadcast people who really want to be on front of the camera, and who was that again? So I can talk directly to y'all real quick. Let me go to the chat. I think they put it in there. Okay, so for those who want to be on camera, the best way you get started is now. You reach out to these people over social media, get some interviews. I mean, that's a perk about being in quarantine, is that people are a lot more accessible than what they were. Like I recently interviewed Chris Paul with USC. So I would have never imagined that in my life. But it was so awesome to get to sit there and talk one-on-one with Chris Paul. And because of USC, I would have, if it wasn't for USC, I wouldn't have gotten that opportunity the way I did. But start now. Look at yourself. Look at what do you want to do. If you want to go into sports, I think it was Morgan, you want to go into sports. So when it comes to sports, you're gonna have to dibble and dab, like depending on what kind of sports you want to do. If you want to do like play-by-plays or like talking about like a reporter, like sideline reporter, you're gonna
Yeah, I
have
want to do sideline and just like
game day
anchor
coverage.
broadcasting,
game
like
day. So
sports
game day
minute.
coverage.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, because we're in a pandemic, there's not a lot of
Yeah.
sports. But there are sports still going on in the state of Texas. Like in my area, there's still very much football in full effect. So wherever you are, if you have a local high school that still does Friday Night Lights, go report on it. Just buy you a ticket. And if you don't even want to buy you a ticket, stand on the outside, watch the game, and then just report on what you saw. Hi, my name is Morgan. I'm here with, you can say PVAMU TV. You can say whatever you want. I'm here with X, Y, and Z reporting for the Steel Knights or something, you know. Tonight tonight you have a face off between these two rivals. You know, you have to go out and create. Like none of these opportunities are gonna necessarily really come to you. And I learned that while I was at Prairie View. My very first interview was with Marvin Sapp. And the only reason I got that interview was because I asked the Panther ambassadors, because I was a Panther ambassador, I asked them, is it okay if I just spend just a couple minutes asking one of my favorite gospel singers some questions? I mean, it was bold, and that's where, Sess, this is where you come in. You got to be bold. If you want it, you know what you bring to the table. For Sess, you're a very successful film writer. You've worked on plenty of docuseries and all of those things to know that this is what you want. So the only thing stopping you from reaching that goal is you. So you got to realize that, because no one else is going to stop you, and no one else is going to hold your hand and say, you got this. You're going to have to, like I said, encourage yourself at times and know that you got it. And like I said, Morgan, girl, you got to go out there and get a couple interviews with some athletes, whether it's on Zoom or in person. Like, I mean, you go to PV, you go over there to the athletic building and be like, hey, can I just interview the athletic director or the coach? I mean, it might not be that easy, but you can find someone. Because when I was in Prairie View, I'm doing a paper over COVID-19 in sports. And I had talked to a graduate assistant at PV who works one-on-one with the recruiters and the coaches. So I was able to talk to him and get a couple of nuggets out of him. So you gotta go out. You gotta go out and find these stories and do these different stand-ups, whatever it is. Go and find it. Go get it and have faith in yourself, because no one else is gonna have faith in you. I'm gonna be straight up. You're gonna have to believe in yourself, because it's not your mom's dream, it's not your dad's dream, it's your dream. So you got to go for it.
And on the sports side of things, like with the world the way it is, you're going to have to think outside of the box, like Toni said. Like a lot of writers and a lot of reporters that were play-by-play, they started doing think pieces about sports and culture and what does it mean to be a Black athlete in certain leagues with the current state of the world and social justice being brought to the forefront. Like there's so many great articles. There's a sophomore here at USC named Reagan Griffin that actually he wrote a personal essay kind of addressing his white friends and talking about BLM, and it got placed in the undefeated.
Yeah.
Like they picked it up, and you gotta just be able to willing to kind of step out that box. Like, okay, if I can't do every single day on the sideline game day coverage because the world is the way it is right now, there's still online gaming. People should. There's like Madden tournaments. Like people are setting up so many crazy ways to get a sports fix, and you can think outside of the box and create up something. People have started so many podcasts while in quarantine.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I've already been in pre-production for my podcast, my sports podcast, that I'm getting ready to premiere here in the next like 2 weeks. So yeah.
That's creative content. Continue to do that. I'm trying to break out into that podcast realm, but I'm
You telling them not to be fearful, and you over here being fearful.
Oh, it's not even that I'm fearful. It's just I'm trying to get to grad school. And I'm trying to make sure I have time, because that's another thing. Time management is important. It is so important. You have all these high dreams, but you got to make sure you make time for them. And then on top of that, still make time for your own mental health to make sure you're taken care of. And so that's what I've been kind of going through. But I'm gonna get on the podcast because I love to talk. I can talk all day, and I feel like I got a great voice, so I definitely do it. But you guys just believe in yourself for sure.
I mean, you can drop that contact info, and I'll get you on mine.
Oh, girl, you didn't say nothing but a word. Hold on.
And that's like what we were saying earlier. Y'all have each other. Like Reagan, who I mentioned earlier, who's a sophomore here at USC, him and his friends have a sports podcast. I had a little leeway at Spotify, and I was able to feature them on Best Podcast of the Week. And it was a quality podcast, but they had been doing it. Like, they learned from like things that they shouldn't do with audio and better ways to kind of put together a show, and learning that podcasts actually require scripts when you're like doing discussions, because you want to make sure you're covering certain things. Like, you gotta have a mapped out plan. People do that for their YouTube videos. There's always something written down to structure out, okay, this show is going to cover this, and I'm going to talk about X, Y, and Z. And so I think you guys really can utilize each other, even though it's remote. There's a service for remote interviews that I use, and it's called Zencaster. And it is a new service, and it's called Tape Sync, where it uses the audio, the local audio from both ends, and then it uploads that audio to like an online drive, and you're able to actually get the clear wave file audio of that from both sides. And so I will say, like, you all may not be near each other. I actually don't know if y'all are on campus or not. That looked like the square or something. So I'm like, I don't know if you all are on campus. Some of you all might have went home, and so you still can do remote things. Like here at USC in our newsroom, we're still doing broadcasts. Like, you know how a lot of news publications like E-News, they're all doing like the Zoom style reporting. You got to just think outside of the box. And I think you all have like so many different interests that you all can collaborate with each other in some type of way. Because the thing with grad school, whether if you're going to grad school or if you're looking for a job once you graduate, you all need a portfolio. And I said this to Toni, I said this to Tay, I said this to I said this to everybody when I was at PV. A byline is a byline. I don't care if it's on a blog. As long as you're sticking to like AP style or like some type of journalistic standard, I don't care if it's self-published. I don't care if it was published in Pookie and them little newsletter down the street. I don't really care. You got a byline. You have something on your portfolio. Everybody's not gonna get this real Houston, like, you know, everybody don't got the internship at Houston Chronicle to say like I worked at all the top Texas newspapers or top Texas magazines. And so those portfolios really, really matter. And all of you are interested in like film, radio, sports. Like there's something that each of you bring to the table that you all could collab on. Very much so like Cecily and Deontay both having a production company and working on short films and things like that. And don't get stuck in wanting things to be perfect. Do it. Literally just do it. I dealt with that a lot while I was at Prairie View because I did not have a computer when I was at Prairie View. I was doing all my homework assignments, anything media related, anything newspaper related on my friends' computers. Like I was having to text my friends, asking them, can I use your computer so I can edit this video? Can I use your computer so I can edit this? I didn't have a computer. I didn't have a camera. And when I got to Prairie View 2016 in spring, there was like a subtle issue with like equipment. So we didn't have straight access to the equipment in the department like that. And I don't know if the equipment's gotten better. But the way the equipment works in the media industry, there's always something newer. There's something always better. And so I'm dealing with, okay, we don't have something that can shoot in 4K. So I'm like, dang, I don't really want to shoot because I don't want to shoot nothing in like 720 because that's not good quality and people may not take it seriously. But if that's all you have access to, use it. It's better than you not doing anything.
Yeah.
So that portfolio is really important. And I think while you're at Prairie View, and I really hate the newspaper helped me really get those clips. Because I covered everything from politics to like sports, doing photography, doing lifestyle pieces. And I think, I'm not sure what else is there. Like, do you guys have like a student-led type of publication there right now? Like maybe somebody started like an independent like little thing, or I know Devin, he started his like website. Y'all can write for him interviewing alumni.
Right.
So I think that's really important.
Yeah, we're currently working on getting that back up right now. I was talking to Miss Johnson about that because I just feel like the newspaper will be important for students within the comm program to, like you said, get those articles out there and work on their writing and perfecting and things like that. So yeah, Daric, I'm gonna have to call you
stories.
and
Y'all
talk to
got
you.
stories.
Yeah.
Times Prairie View ends up on national news.
Mm-hmm.
All of y'all could have been the ones breaking those stories.
Right.
That's how you kind of think about it, because Prairie View, you kind of think like in the middle of nowhere, you know, it's little Prairie View, it's PV on the hill. But the voting like issues that we face at Prairie View, one of my biggest stories in my portfolio is dealing with I think this was my junior year, where they were all trying to make us all vote at City Hall. Like we couldn't vote on campus. They were trying to take that away. And I had to call the voter registrar's office and get her on, like quote her and like get it on record, like what is the real way that we can vote. And I had to turn around that story in like an hour and a half. And that's the other thing, like that's why I'm saying these portfolios matter, because you guys also have to get used into that workflow. Because no matter what, there's deadlines in every aspect of media, because there's a release date. There's a time when things have to be published. There's also, do y'all know what embargo is? Okay, so embargo means a time period where you have to be silent. Like, so this is where the publicist and journalist relationship begins. So like for instance, I get sent a lot of news releases and press releases for upcoming like music projects or launchings for different companies. And I get like all those details before the public even knows. Embargo is the time period of time before you can hit publish on that article. So you have a time frame of where you kind of like, you got a head start on covering something before it became public knowledge. And all the top publications have that relationship with these publicists. Like when you see celebrities getting those covers for magazines, or when people have exclusives about a new film or a new TV show, or exclusives on who's going to be the new CEO of like Disney or something, those are typically exclusives. Those are insider information. And you have to get really used to doing things on deadline, because some of those deals sometimes with those publicists to keep on their good side, and for them, like it's a give and take situation, which is something that you need to know, like in general. Like everything in life within media is a give and take situation. Like you have to cultivate relationships like that. Who knows you and who you know is very important. And so when it comes to embargoes, you have to understand, you know, they let me know this in advance. I can't publish anything until this date. Sometimes people break their embargoes and you can be sued for that because you released confidential information way before it was meant to be public. So time in deadlines, all that's really important. And that's why also creating those portfolios is important, because the best way to learn that is doing it. Worthington can kind of speak to this because he was on the staff when I was there still at working on the newspaper. And I was very critical about publication deadlines, because you can't practice lackadaisically and just kind of say, well, at least I got it out. Like, yes, give yourself that grace because if something crazy happened and you just weren't able to like get it done, but you have to, this is real. Like it's a student newspaper, or you're a student and you're still covering things. So it's not like real, but it's real. It gets you in that mindset of I'm on deadline. I have to get this done. I need to make sure I need to have at least 2 to 3 sources for my stories. Like practicing those things that are going to be everyday parts of your life when you're working in your field. So we'll definitely talk. I don't got them passwords. Amita asked them for me already. I don't know what happened to y'all. I'm actually upset because some of my best pieces were on the website and I don't have access to them anymore. So yeah.
Well, that was all for the questions that I had. So I just kind of want to ask everybody in the chat if you all had any questions that y'all can go ahead and ask those right now. Tori, okay.
First of all, y'all got me crying in the club.
Oh wow.
Secondly, so I'm kind of a multi-dimensional person. Like I kind of maneuver my way into opportunities and learn what needs to be done. I'm kind of the person, like they say, you need something. Well, we need this person. I'd be like, even though I don't have any experience, I'm like, I can do it. Like, so that has been that kind of person. Huh? I'm sorry.
You need to be that type of person. I'm the same way, and that type of person really has an edge in media.
Yes, and I noticed that, but like, so I'm I always ask artists this question because I feel like it's benefiting me now, but long down the road, it's not. So, so the question is, do you think me as a multidimensional person, multi-talented, like I'm gonna have to choose, like, cause I always say to that, like I'm a master of all the trades, not a jack of the trades. Like I do everything and I master and I get it done and I go on to the next. But even Lena Waithe made a statement like, you guys gonna have to choose. She said everyone comes into this industry wanting to do this and that and go everywhere and do this, be on the writing side, be on the production side. But she was like, you gotta choose. But I'm like, what?
I don't gotta choose. All right.
Right. So what do you guys think
about my sister Taylor Park, who is a writer, producer, and singer, Grammy winning. Okay. You don't have to, like I said, I was the same person at Prairie View. I had the same mentality of like people telling me that you cannot do everything. You're going to have to figure out, do you want to be a magazine writer? Do you want to be a newspaper writer? Do you want to work in TV? Do you want to work in audio? I want to do everything. Avery DuVernay is like a perfect example. Avery DuVernay was a whole publicist for a huge chunk of her career. Then she just shifted into being a director. And a lot of people don't even know that. And I don't think, I say our lives are in chapters, and I feel like you can do everything that you want to do in your life, especially career-wise. Like say in your 20s, you're like, okay, I really want to do production, so I'm focusing on production right now. But even no matter if it's not media, people that work in their career field all the time, people don't stay at the company for after 7 years. They're like, all right, I kind of want to do something different. So boxing yourself in, and that's the other thing, you never want to box yourself in. Everybody has a niche. Everybody has something that they're good at, that they're uniquely good at. However, that doesn't mean that you don't do anything else. And I say that because like right now, I have a newsletter that I'm doing. It's the first time that I've ever done it. Very scary. But I wanted to do it, so I'm doing it. I'm also working on audio and doing audio long form pieces for a podcast. I'm also doing production. Like you need to know those things. Like, yes, they really want you to be a jack of all trades. You may not use it in your everyday like career, but it's okay to know those things. And also, I will say this, the most passionate people that work in media, a lot of the times they're still working on stuff on the side. Like they do like passion projects. And you may not be able to do it at your field of like work, but you can do it when you're out from work. And I learned that a lot when I came here to LA, because a lot of the people that I know, there's a girl named Courtney who she graduated from Edinburgh maybe like 3 years ago. And she works in corporate communication, but she does journalism on the side. Like she freelances on the side. And she doesn't feel like she has to do one or the other. And I really hope for people to learn that they don't have to stick to one thing. because as human beings, we are multifaceted, like we're layered. And so we're not just one thing. Like you're all not just students. Like you're more than just, oh, I'm a student. Y'all are aspiring filmmakers, aspiring reporters, aspiring producers. So you don't ever really want to limit yourself. And people are going to tell you that all the time. One professor may say something while the other one may not. Like Toni said earlier, one professor told her she got to stop saying y'all. The other one said, don't stop saying it because it makes you unique. And at the end of the day, those outside voices are going to come and happen. And it'll come from people that are in the field that you want to be in. That may work for them. That ain't gonna work for you. So you have to ultimately decide what works for you. And just hearing you talk about being a jack of all trades or a master of all trades, you know, it sounds like that's a passion for you. Like you like doing all those things. And when it comes to careers, I will say this, you should not do anything you don't like. So if you like something, I would stick to it.
Yeah.
And that's on period.
Yeah. Add some things real quick. So I'll talk about when you're a news reporter, 9 times out of 10 nowadays, you got to go out and report, shoot, and edit the story on your own. So you have to be the reporter, you got to be the camera person, and the editor almost all at the same time. So you have to be well-rounded. I love sports. I know during my time at USC, I want to concentrate on sports. But once I get into the real world, like, y'all, I'm trying to be like Oprah. Okay, so that's just not sports. That's entertainment, that's politics, that's nature, that's soul, mind, body. It's so much. So yeah, you can do whatever you want, because once I get this broadcast stuff unlocked, I'm going to the podcast world, and then I'm gonna go to the writing world. Like I'm gonna be a jack of all trades as well, because if you only know one skill, like I'm not gonna lie, you don't really bring much value. Like one editor when they have so many other editors, like what do you I don't know. It's just like you can do it all. Like I want to work for the NFL Network. I would love to be on camera, but I don't want to be a sideline reporter. I want to do something different. I want to have my own niche on where I interview athletes and coaches and general managers on what they've been through in their life, bringing that humanistic approach to something real. And that takes more than just knowing sports. That takes knowing some psychology. That takes knowing some other things, So yeah, you can do it all. Go for it.
And just assist with stuff like, you know how to do everything, cool. People in here want to do films. You can be the boom mic holder. There's
Look,
you get
I was an intern.
Thanks.
I was an intern for PVAMU radio, and I think Liv can back me up because, that's my radio good sis. And so, but one thing our program director and our mentor will always tell us is it's amazing to be used. You want to be used, not misused. Yes. So I live with that every day. Like I love that quote, like, and that's ultimately like what I live by, because I love doing everything and being a helping hand, I would say. Because like that makes me like be more broad and the talent aspect. Like I know everything, I learn more, and the more opportunities that come my way, I'll be a good candidate for it. So
yeah, you always want to operate in grace. I wrote a piece about this in my newsletter recently, and the thing that changed for me and really kind of shot my career onto a trajectory was practicing intentionally grace, not just to yourself, like being kind to yourself. Like if you don't meet a deadline because something really crazy in your life just happened, do not beat yourself up about it. Don't take it as a sign that this is not something that you should be doing or pursuing. Life happens. And then grace to others. Grace to others in the sense of, for me, I deal with a lot of publicists. A lot of journalists don't understand the mentality of a publicist. A lot of publicists don't understand the mentality of a journalist. They try to divide the two and say like there were two different worlds. But having a background in both, I understand that there's a bridge that needs to be gapped. Like, because publicists think, oh, we can send you a press release sometimes like a day before the news goes public. Can you do a write-up and do an interview with this artist? Well, you're already probably on deadline for 6 other stories. Then journalists are not realizing that publicists are juggling the lives of like so many different clients for multiple different journalists, trying to get them in multiple different publications, that something's possibly going to slip through the cracks. And so it's that having that grace of like being kind to people in the industry, because there's so many people that are not kind in all industries and just work spaces in general. So you want to be that helpful person. You want to show that grace. And I really say that that's what helped me kind of do that trajectory for me. A saying that I said a lot while I was working as managing editor in the media center last year was, it was basically, what was the saying? I stole it too from my other job. It was like, do stuff with a smile. It was something. It was just like being optimistic. I really forget the phrase. Wow. That's crazy. I forgot the phrase. But I learned it from my admissions job, and they said it there all the time. The director of admissions says it a lot. And so, fun and flexible. Approach your careers as fun and flexible. You don't control every aspect of life. You don't control the universe. You don't control if somebody can no longer do an interview with you. You don't control if someone has to reschedule. So you have to remain fun and flexible. You also don't beat yourself up. You don't beat other people up. Like, you don't hold a grudge if a music artist cancels an interview on you. You don't take it personal, because life happens. And the next opportunity may be that you get to interview them for some big magazine cover. So I say grace in that sense. Like, the newsletter was grace for me because I have this camaraderie now with a lot of reporters that work in music and entertainment now, because a part of my newsletter is where I interview various different people that are in media about their careers. And I had that same fear or doubt, like, ain't nobody want to talk to me. I have no big major publication attached to my name. That's not the case. And so you have to practice that grace. And I think being earnest and being someone that wants to help out, someone that's intuitive and informative, and not necessarily a know-it-all, but someone that has the knowledge and is willing to share, you know, when people need it, it's okay to be that person. A lot of traditional publications, you also have to make the decision, do you want to be traditional or do you want to be untraditional? I'm technically classified as an untraditional journalist, because I don't follow those traditional practices of staying in one box. Like, I don't work one beat. And that doesn't hinder you. That actually opens so many opportunities for you.
Do we have any more questions? Okay. Well, I just want to say thank you to Toni and Daric for taking the time out of y'all's day or night to come speak with us. This was so informative. I loved everything that was like spoken on. You know, it's just always great to hear from alum from PV, because y'all have so much knowledge and we need it. Like me, myself, I'm getting ready to graduate in December, and I know a few other people in here are as well. So it's like, we're getting ready to make that transition. And, you know, once you get to the end, it's like, you need to know everything. You want to be as prepared as possible. And you just want to know the reality outside of the walls of PV. So I just want to say thank you to you both for taking the time to speak with us. And thank you to everybody that joined, for taking the time out of your day as well to come and listen. And yeah, I hope everybody has a great night, and I will see y'all tomorrow for the next presentation.
Sorry, I saw that she had a question.
Oh, who had a question? Who had a question?
Okay, this is just a random question. So how would y'all like, and this is, we kind of been on here a long time, so I'm not trying to prolong nobody. But how's like the social life for y'all in LA as being grad students? Like, have y'all met a lot of friends and a lot of people that are kind of similar to you that are not from there?
Ain't no black people in LA.
Really? Have y'all met anybody that's at least? Have y'all met anybody that's at least like from down south?
Girl,
My experience is different than Derek's. So Daric is in LA. I'm still in Texas, but
Okay.
I have relationships with some of my classmates, and I'm really cool with them. Like, there's one girl in my cohort. She's from Shreveport, Louisiana. So we go like this. I'm the only one in my cohort from, yes, I'm the only one from Texas in my cohort. So I have to reach out to these other students, and I do have white friends. I do. I mean, the ones who understand me, the ones who understand. I know it takes time. It takes.
I don't, and I'll be clear about that. I do not have white friends.
Yeah.
I have colleagues. I don't have friends.
See, I have friends. I have friends.
And that's a different experience, I will say, because it's a little different when you're physically here. Because the thing with California, and a lot of people think California is very left and liberal. It's not that way here. Their racism is a little more covert. So they're just not direct like it is in the South. So it's a little more sneaky. And so you have to kind of like learn your environment a little bit. But there's not a lot of Black people in LA. There is a Black community, like there's Leimert Park and everything. And there's historical like Black communities in LA. However, it's really hard to find your like tribe, like your people out here, because there's also a notion with it being LA, people don't know if you're being authentic or if you're trying to use them for something. And so that's also like another barrier that's gonna always happen in media. Like there's so many people that are like have 20, 30 plus years careers in media, and they don't got a lot of friends because it's really hard to make friends in media because you don't know if people are being genuine or if they're trying to use you for like some type of come up. Yeah. And that's that discernment that you'll all learn as life happens and hits you very fast in the face. Yeah. But as far as LA, it is what you make it. I will say this, I'm officially an LA citizen. I switched my license to LA like last fall actually. And so like I'm officially an LA citizen. I would love to live out here still if I get that job offer after graduating in May. So I will not like, don't be afraid of LA, but it's definitely not what the movies portray.
Yeah. I still, like, my best friends here are still my best friends. Like, I'm not out there like, oh, like, I want friends. Like, I'm in LA, I want friends. Like, no, like, you always got to watch your back, because in this industry, there are very sneaky people, and there are people who will smile in your face 1 second and will not be genuine behind you. So there are always snakes in the bushes, but as long as you have a support system, like your family or your friends, you are gonna make it. You are gonna make it, because I know my biggest issue was I didn't want to leave Texas, to be honest. I wasn't really ready. So the pandemic was kind of a blessing in disguise, because I wasn't ready to go, no way. Because I mean, my support system is here. So I know I have to move in January though. But when it comes to me moving in January, it's a whole nother ball game, and we'll just have to have another panel, and I'll have to let y'all know what's going on in my life.
But yeah, definitely the whole takeaways I would say for y'all: fear, let it go. Also know that the fear is normal, and definitely utilize each other. Like I can't stress that enough. Like Tay said, like a lot of y'all graduate in December. I know that's scary. Y'all, Toni called me when she graduated in December. She called me like, okay, I should start on this way earlier. She's living proof that as long as you get it done, you start doing things, like instead of putting it off and like thinking like, oh man, I should have started earlier, you can do it. And so definitely utilize each other and start networking and asking questions to like different faculty members and things like that. It's some people in the department that I would not waste my time with, just so y'all know, i.e. Mr. Smith, i.e. Like, stay away from the old school people. The best helpful person that's in the department is Dr. Blackwell. I don't know any of the new people that's there. I don't know if they replaced Dr. Taylor with anybody. I don't know them people. I don't know who y'all department head is because my last year we went through 4 different people. So
It's Lou, I think, right? You know Dr. Lou. He taught.
Oh yes, he did like the last one when I was there because then it was a lady for one point, and then yeah. But my point is utilize each other. Like tonight, y'all, YouTube University taught me everything. Get on YouTube. There's something for every. There's documentaries about streetwear, y'all. I'm doing my thesis over sneaker culture. So if there's a niche in what you're interested in, trust me, there's a way to do it.
Yeah. I'm doing my thesis over mental health in the Black community. Well, because my cousin passed away about 2 weeks ago. She committed suicide. So my life has been a whirlwind these past couple weeks. So I'm living proof you can make it. You can make it out. Like, I dropped that article I did for Voyage Atlanta. That's literally my whole journey to USC. If you want to read it, or drop my email. I'm willing to share whatever I can share. I'm willing to share my what's it called? My portfolio, whatever it is. You let me know. I'm your girl. I love y'all. I'm done for the night.
Did that GRE still work for you?
Man, let me tell you. Let me tell you about that GRE real quick. No, it didn't.
No, the login, you can use my login?
No, I did, but it didn't work.
Oh, well, study GRE. Y'all got low scores. I'm not even going.
I don't know. Honestly, it was no one but the grace of God that
Schools
I got.
Don't care about the GRE, by the way.
Because
it's a requirement, but do not think it'll be.
I didn't do good on the GRE. I think I scored so low. I was in like the 6th quartile. Like, it was bad.
I was like in 58th or 54th or something like that.
Yeah, it was bad, bro. Like, if you look, I got some prep cards. Like, if someone really wants to study for the GRE, I have material I will give you that I did not use because I just walked in that test and I said, God for me, who can be against me? And I just went and took that test, but now here I am. But don't do me. Don't do what I did.
I gave all my materials after I got in. I gave her my login because you got to pay for that stuff.
You do.
And that's a hindrance for a lot of people. But also, if y'all need a login or something for test materials, I got that login. I just dropped my email. Any type of questions y'all may have, I'm willing to answer. Email is always the best way to reach me. Deontay knows that. Because sadly, once you're in the thick of things, you live off of a schedule. I'm literally living off a Google Calendar right now.
Yeah, I need to get my life together. Last remark, I don't actually think they're doing the GRE because of COVID. So I think they actually waived that. So together.
Well, I don't know about Texas, because I know some people still had to, because y'all not like shut down like LA is.
Yeah, I don't know. Check, but
USC may not be a requirement. Like, check the schools that you're interested in. Some of them are tweaking their application and admissions like requirements.
GRE, some of them do. Just check, and y'all got it. Y'all are all brilliant people who are gonna go very, very far in life, and I can't wait to see y'all at the top at my dinner table.
Thank y'all. Thank you.
Great.
Thank y'all so much. Speaking into my soul, yes. I just love it. Appreciate it. Hilliard Legends. Like, oh my God. Hilliard Legends.
Period. I think that was the last question. If anybody has questions, now is your time. Because I'm sure Toni and Daric want to take a break and log out.
My dinner in the air fryer right now.
Right.
All day. All day. My classes be all day. And then I'm 2 hours behind, so it really be sucking.
That sound like a whole lot of...
Or 2 hours ahead. I'm sorry, 2 hours ahead. Yeah. But holla at me, y'all. I drop everything in the chat.
We will.
Daric, we love y'all. We got y'all. Like we said, we gonna be there for y'all as much as we can.
Thank y'all.
Cheesy PV sign off, y'all. I'm not that alumni.
I'm an alumni. Gotta go. Got you stuff to do.
All right, y'all. Well, have a great night, and thank y'all again for speaking to us. And we will be reaching out to y'all. I'm positive in the near future. So, everybody else, have a great night. Thank y'all again, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.